Thank you for joining me for today's lesson on the Southern American colonies. Beginning in the early 1600s, English sent over settlers to attempt to create a permanent settlement in what we now know today as the United States. Their first successful colony was known as Jamestown. It was located off the coast of Virginia. And our emphasis today is going to be on the Southern Colonial region. We see it pictured here in yellow. We'll talk about how is it different from the other two main regions, both New England and Middle Colonies, and what are some of its characteristics that made it an economic success and significant for America as it became a young nation. The colony of Jamestown was initially not successful. People came to the New World hoping to get rich quickly, and they didn't plan ahead for difficult winters. There's evidence of cannibalism at Jamestown and great starvation. Eventually, their leader, John Smith, decided you must work or you will not eat here. And eventually, the colony did turn around. What ultimately saved Jamestown is tobacco. Growing tobacco was highly profitable for Englishmen as it was in high demand back in Europe, and the climate of Virginia was perfect to grow this crop. It spread throughout the Southern Colonies and created what becomes a staple of what we think of when we talk about Southern Colonies. Slave labor led to the rise of the plantation system, under which beautiful, vast mansions were built in the middle of large tracts of land. All the area surrounding it was farmed by slaves to produce cash crops, and the vast wealth they created led to the building of beautiful, stately homes on the plantation for whites to live in, while slaves toiled in the fields and often died at a very young age. Pictured here we see the economic factors that helped make the Southern Colonial region wealthy and influential. Yes, there are symbols here for agriculture, such as corn and rice, which grew well in this climate, but we'll definitely see a significant region of tobacco located here, Maryland, Virginia, and North Carolina. This was one of the major cash crops of the Southern Colonies. It was sent back to Britain to be processed and sold there to Europeans at a high profit. Another cash crop would be indigo, which was a popular blue dye and also sold for high cost over in Europe at the time. Later, our cash crops in this region are going to change with the rise of cotton. Later, cotton would become king in the South. With the invention of the cotton gin by Eli Whitney in 1793, it became very easy to process the seeds out of cotton, and so it was grown on a large scale, again with the southern climate being perfect for this type of crop. The slaves that had once picked tobacco were now set to the task of picking cotton. The economy of the South afforded great wealth and education to white land-owning males, but the lack of representation and opportunity for women and slaves as well as indentured servants made it a truly uneven society. The economy of this region made it a significant player in the affairs of the 13 colonies as it moves towards the Revolutionary War, and it is cash crops such as cotton and tobacco that help lead the South into economic dominance. If you would like to learn more about life in Virginia, try the Colonial Williamsburg website. Here is a variety of resources, everything from text to pictures, primary sources to interactive exhibits and maps. Here you can learn a lot more about what life was like, not only for the white men who held influence at Colonial Williamsburg, but for slaves and other minorities as well. Thank you for joining me for today's lesson on the Southern Colonies. I'll see you next time.